Yep, that's right. We're out here hustling again, man. Out hustling and moving. It's been a couple days since I've been able to get out and get on this trail. Right? But I gotta do it, man. You gotta do it. You know, it doesn't matter what time of day it is. Doesn't matter if you got a little exercise early. Like, it's probably better to do, or if you're like me and it's late in the afternoon and it's been a couple days where I've been working my butt off, finally getting a chance to get out here and get some fresh air and get some sunshine and get a little bit of that vitamin D therapy, right? But the bottom line in life is that you tried, that you got out there. And man, everything we do in life is not a home run. We're not always gonna win at life. You know, most of the time in life, you're gonna lose. The odds are not in your favor, man. It's like a casino, man. Life is like a casino. The deck is stacked. The roulette wheel's got a magnet on it. The slot machines, and this is something, if you're somebody that likes to gamble, and I used to like to mess around with slot machines and roulette wheels and stuff like that. Man, I never hit the jackpot. Always think that, you're gonna get lucky and win that Corvette in the display, or you're gonna hit the jackpot. And I think the most I ever hit, I was out on the road with Gary Lewis, and we were playing in Vegas, right? And they put us up at the Rio, which is an okay hotel, right? And I know people like hearing these road stories, so I'm glad this popped into my head. But I think he flew me in a day before everybody else, because he got me a cheaper flight, right? So I was in Vegas and ended up there. I'm at the Rio, and across the street from the Rio is the Palms. And they used to always have that reality show called Party at the Palms, right? And had like a Playboy lounge upstairs or whatever, but I decided I'm gonna walk across the street and go to the Palms, right? So I get in there and I start playing video poker, right? And I was making a few bucks here and there, and then all of a sudden, boom, I hit a royal flush. And I think the payout was like $1,200, and I think the most I put into the machines was like $100. I think I was $100 in, and it's a dollar machine or something. Boom! I hit the jackpot. Right. Well, a sane mind would have thought, well, I'm set. But I didn't keep gambling. I did go, okay, now I've got this big wad of cash. Now I can go have some fun, right? And I got a day off. So I ended up, this is before I was married. This is a long time ago. But I ended up going to the Spearmint Rhino and ended up, hanging out with this dancer for a while. And she ended up, I didn't even get lap dances. I just ended up in the back room or in the little private area, just buying her drinks and just talking, And what was interesting was her boyfriend lived in Nashville. And so then she was asking me about Nashville and what's it like, and I'm thinking about moving there, and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, I probably spent a couple $100 in there, right? But ended up over my time, and I think we were in Vegas for 2 or 3 days, maybe a couple of shows, or maybe it was one show. But I think when all was said and done, I think I left Vegas with about $600 extra, right? On top of what I got, the $300 that I got for the show, right? So it was good because at the time, I think my mortgage was like $550 and something like that. And so, it was a good weekend. It was a good experience. But would I recommend wasting money like that? Because I was not rolling in dough. Being on the road and being a road musician, you're not rolling in the dough, right? But, I took a chance, and one time I won. Every other time that I've been to Vegas and played Vegas a ton of times, and other places where I played where there were casinos, we're talking Indian casinos, we're talking, as far north as North Dakota, South Dakota, and casinos in Florida, like the Hard Rock and stuff like that. Never won. That was the only time that I got lucky and hit it on a poker machine, getting a royal flush. And I thought I was the richest guy in the world. I felt like a millionaire having $1,200 cash. And I was the only guy in the band there. So I could do whatever I want. I didn't have to worry about the boss, going, boy, Brad was acting crazy last night. I didn't have to worry about any of that, right? But the reality was, man, I was out there to make money, and I needed to bring home $600 so that I could pay my mortgage that month. And that's really what it was all about. So all it really did is make sure that got done. There wasn't any all of a sudden I can just take it easy and do whatever I want. Still had a gig to play. I still had to think. But here's the interesting thing, man. Staying at the Rio hotel, right? And then hanging out with some of the guys from the band once the band got there the next night. We'd be sitting at the bar, and there's these girls would come up and go, "You ready to get naked?" What? And it always blew my mind because, it's just, I know that they were working, right? I know that they were working girls, but, I've never been one to just have somebody come up and, come on, let's go. You're like, whoa, wait a minute. Who are you? What are you? What do you do? Who are you? What's your name? It's just not my style. But man, I guess for some of these guys that don't have game and come to Vegas and just want to party, right? Everybody says they go to Vegas or they go to a casino and they just want to do crazy stuff, man. They think they're in a, what was that movie? Let me know in the comments. The one about the wedding, the guys that are going to the wedding, bachelor party. They think they're in the movie Bachelor Party. And that's how they act when they go out to Vegas. And for the rest of us, most of us that go out there to work, we're not as crazy about throwing money around and doing crazy stuff because, man, when you're a musician, you're around that kind of behavior. And usually back in the day on the road, you would get girls that would say, "Hey, you want to, and it would be that quick, right? But it wouldn't be, "Oh, it's going to cost you $600 or it's going to cost $300. There would be those types that would seek out musicians. It's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing. Why are there girls like that are attracted to that? I've seen it happen. I've talked about it on this channel. I've seen where, there will be girls who will have nothing to do with you, wouldn't even look twice at you. But then they see you on stage, and man, all of a sudden you become extremely attractive to them. All of a sudden, those doors that were closed, they're wide open. And it's a strange thing, man, because we don't become different people. When I put a guitar on, I don't become somebody else. I don't become something else. I'm still the same person, right? But I don't know, man. I've had friends that say the stage is the ultimate aphrodisiac. And that may be true. I want to hear from people in the comments to let me know situations where, girls that maybe didn't, or guys that didn't find you attractive, and you're on stage, and then boom, all of a sudden you're like the hottest dude in the room. It's a strange thing, man, because we're not defined by playing music. It's not our only thing that we do. I mean, I know we tend to, as musicians, we tend to, focus so much on playing music that it does sometimes seem like the thing is the guitar or the bass or the drumsticks are glued to our body. They're another appendage. The reality is, man, eventually you got to put that thing down, right? And then you are just like everybody else. We all have to eat, breathe, live, piss, and everything else, just like everybody else. But we may even have it harder. But maybe it's the emotions, the power of being that one person in the room that everybody's looking at. I don't know what it is, man. I want people to, if there's a psychologist that's tuned into this channel, I'd like to hear the psychology of attraction and being on stage and being a musician. Music is a powerful thing, and maybe when you learn to wield it, it makes you seem like you have special powers. It makes you seem that you're different than everybody else. And that's a really interesting concept to think about. The fact that you can just play a few notes, walk on stage, or maybe even just sit in with the band. I've had that happen where somebody says, hey, why don't you go ask these guys if you can sit in? And you go sit in, and then all of a sudden, girls that were completely ignoring you in the bar are coming up and, oh, you're amazing. Who are you? And what's your name? And all this kind of stuff. It really makes no sense, man. And after you become a veteran, like me, you start to see through that stuff. Man, when you're young, you think, man, I must really be something. And, and look, you look back in the mirror and you see a young man and you see a good looking, fresh face in front of you. And you start to believe that hype, right? You start to believe that maybe I am special. Maybe I am really good looking, or maybe I am extremely talented and all this kind of stuff. The reality is, man, if you weren't on that stage, if you weren't playing that instrument, if you weren't up there pulling at people's heartstrings with an instrument, playing maybe a song that somebody really likes, we're just like everybody else. We're just like every other schlub in the club. And maybe that'll be a great name for an album, Schlub in the Club. Because, man, there's many times, I know we spend a lot of our life chasing after stardom or fame or wealth or whatever. But man, as you get later in life and you realize none of that stuff matters, blending into a situation and having nobody recognize you and nobody bother you and just being that average schlub, you start to desire that. You imagine how people who have extreme fame, whether it's Elvis or Michael Jackson or somebody like that, where fame, their persona becomes a prison. It becomes a prison that they can't even go out. They can't do the normal things that anybody wants to do. And look, I would go out in Nashville. Sometimes I'd go out to hear my friends play. And they'd say, oh man, get on the mic. Oh, Bad Brad's here. Let's get Bad Brad up. And I'd just be like, maybe I'm 2 or 3 beers in. And I just wanted to go out and just sit on a bar stool and have a couple pops and listen to my friends play. Getting on stage and having to be that person or that persona, as famous or unfamous as you are, it still can become a burden to live up to your reputation, even if it's just your reputation in a small town. It could become a really tough thing to live up to. So, man, my thing is this, man. You just got to keep your head and your wits about you. Not believe the hype. Don't fall for the trollops that are going to come along and tell you you're the greatest thing. There's been so many times where, I believed that stuff. I believed it, and you know what? The next night when I wasn't on stage, they're off chasing somebody else. That's the reality of it, man. That's the reality of all this. So keep your head on straight. Don't believe the hype. Keep your wits about you. And realize that, man, unless you're a superstar, you're just another schlub in the club trying to make a buck. And that, my friends, is the reality of it all.